Hello, everybody. So this evening we have Miss Sheena here, who is a beauty business strategist. And Sheena decided to come on the platform today because she is going to share her knowledge in the beauty industry, the beauty medical aesthetics industry. And then she just has a lot of knowledge. She is an educator. She just actually told me she is a global educator. I love that. So I want her to just kind of share a little bit of her tips with you guys, any advice that she may have, just so you guys can follow suit. And for any of you that are watching, maybe you may have some sort of imposter syndrome that's holding you back. So Sheena clearly does not have that. So I want her to share all of the juicy knowledge and things with you guys today. So first, Sheena, if you want to just go ahead and give a small introduction, who you are, what you do, anything that makes you different.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sheena Holmes. As she said, I am a global educator. I am a clinical esthetician, a makeup artist, so I do all things beauty. I have been in the industry for over 20 years and really just started to do this full time in the past 6 to 7 years. And I am so grateful for you having me here today.
Absolutely. I'm grateful for you taking the time out to be here because I know you're busy. I see you. I
Little
see
bit,
you.
little bit.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And I do just have three questions for Sheena today. We won't hold you guys too long. I know your time is valuable. So let's start with the first question. So, Sheena, I know you have a digital download for up and coming or either established beauty providers called Unpond. If you want to tell us a little bit about Unpond. What is it exactly? And for other beauty providers who are scared to charge for their knowledge, what would you tell them?
So, Unpond, as you said, is my digital download. And the book itself came from just my struggles in the industry as a provider on the provider side and not really having any guidance. And there's this thing in a lot of cultures where there's this hustle mentality, like you have to hustle hard and work hard and you have to go through this grind to get to where you're going. Well, as I've been in the industry, I've met other people and they're like, you don't have to work that hard. And I was like, what do you mean? And so putting yourself in different environments around people who don't necessarily have those mindset blocks that a lot of us have, because a lot of times, and this is what my book is about, we get in our own way. And one of my key points in the book, and it's an African proverb, and it says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do us no harm. So a lot of times we are the ones telling us that we can't charge these prices. We just got out of school, so we have to give everything away for free because we're comparing ourselves to someone else who has been in the industry. And a lot of times we forget that we have so much more power in us than we understand. And we move as a pawn. And on the chessboard, a pawn literally has maybe one or two moves, and it's the weakest piece on the board. And so I named the book Unpawned because I want you to get out of your own way, to understand that you do have the power of a queen or a rook or a bishop, because you have to play different roles. Even as a solopreneur or, someone working by themselves, you are the CEO, you are the marketing director, you are the financial person. So you're playing all of these different roles and you don't give yourself credit or give yourself enough value for playing those roles. So the book is just basically a blueprint to teach you how to work your business with strategy instead of struggle. Because for me, I'm out here trying to figure out, okay, should I be a wedding makeup artist? No, that's not working. Should I be a lash artist? No, like, should I do this? And if you go into this with a plan instead of coming straight out of school, and I also am an aesthetics educator as well. And I know school only teaches you how to pass state board, but it doesn't teach you how to run a business. So this book is helping you to go step one, getting your LLC and all of your paperwork together. But the biggest thing is getting your vision together. And when you come up with your vision, you're going to have to say no to a lot of things. And if you have this particular vision, you might be presented with all these other opportunities. But if that opportunity does not align with your end goal, then that's something you need to say no to. So the book is about staying focused, coming up with a vision, writing it down, making it plain, and teaching you how to actually build a path to get to where you want to go.
Because I do know a lot of beauty providers who are just coming out of school. They're extremely confused. They don't really have a plan, because you hit the nail on the head. The school teaches you how to treat clients, but it don't teach you the business side, or it doesn't teach you the marketing side, or just the basic fundamentals of managing a business in general. And so many people are confused, and that is a setback, because they go into it having 20 or 30 or 40 ideas, and they just need to know how to zone in on that one, and zone in on that idea that allows them to flourish and helps them to showcase their unique personality in this lane. Because I think a lot of the times it's very easy to blend in, because you don't have those fundamentals mapped out before you get started. And I see it unfortunately happen all the time, and it is a time stealer. So I think that you creating this, is it an ebook, or you creating this ebook will definitely help a lot of people be able to just like streamline and focus, and just know, like, give themselves the opportunity to win before they allow their mindset to let them fail. So I think that's a very great thing that you have that out there. Now, I do want to say this, because I kind of think that you left this part out, but it's only because, again, it was a loaded question. So what would you, I probably should have just made this one too. What would you say to the upcoming beauty providers out there, or even the more seasoned ones, who always answering the DMs, they're always giving out free information, and they're scared to charge for their knowledge because maybe they don't think they're experienced enough, they hadn't been doing this long enough, or they just think that they shouldn't charge for it? What would you tell that person?
That person, because I used to be that person. Charge your worth.
Haven't we
And
all, right?
yeah, but the thing is, the reason I started doing it is because I started getting bombarded with questions, and I was spending a lot of my time answering the same exact questions for multiple people, and so I wasn't able to focus on my business because I'm trying to help everyone else. And it's like that saying with the cup being full. What's in the cup, you fill your cup, and what's in the cup is for you, and then what runs over is for other people. And a lot of times you need to charge because people do not value what is free. And I always say, like, a great example is, imagine, a lot of us go to these beauty shows and these medical spa shows and all of this, and we get all of these free gifts off of these tables. How many times have you actually used anything in that bag? It sits there. But the
Mhm.
stuff that you actually paid for, you paid for it because you valued it.
Yeah.
And so when you give away your time and your information and your knowledge for free, people unfortunately don't necessarily value it. They may value it in the sense of, thank you for giving me that information, but there's no incentive on their end to put it to use. So now you've taken time that you could worked on your ebook or your digital product or marketing or getting another client in the chair to help someone who really didn't value that information. And true story, I got burned. Like, we always learn from getting burned, right? So what happened
Mhm.
was, there was a young lady, and I taught her how to do lashes from the beginning. I wrote a book on the theory of lashing, the different weights, what tweezers to use, everything. This young lady, and it took me, like, I took my schedule down certain days to teach her, bring in models, did it all for free, out the kindness of my heart, because I was like, she wants to learn and she's new, and there's not a lot of lash artists who lash in the style I lash. So yeah, I'll teach her. So I spent maybe in total maybe a good 40 hours with that young lady. 6 months later, she was driving trucks. So I spent, right. So
Was
I
she a
spent
lash? Was she a truck driver and a lash artist on the side, or she
No,
stopped altogether?
she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do with herself, which
Okay.
is fine. But I spent 40 hours of my time
Mhm.
training someone for free who did not value it. And I guarantee that if I would have charged her X amount of dollars up front, she would have thought a little bit harder about, do I want to actually spend this time and money taking this class, or do I want to go ahead and spend it on my trucking business? Because she paid for her trucking license. And even with you, and to the people who are afraid to charge, just put it out there, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be any worse off than you are right now. So you put out an ebook, it doesn't sell, okay. But if it does sell,
Mhm.
that's,
Then
you know,
then
that's
there's
more.
a win.
Correct. So that's more money in your pocket. And you know, that's actually less stress on you, because as you grow in this business, your time becomes more valuable than anything.
Yep.
So if you can streamline a process to give you back your time to be a person, do it.
It is very true. When you pay attention, and that is something that I will never forget, because just like you, I've also been burnt, right? But it all happened for a reason, because now we know to charge for our knowledge, and I want to be able to get the word out there to more people. So I know, a lot of the clients that I do work with, they are a little scared in the beginning, and until we work together and I kind of help them build that confidence. But what I notice is that I'm all okay when I'm in their accounts, right? And I'm always seeing the same question: where'd you go to get your training for this? Or can you tell me which skincare line you bought into first? Just all sorts of things, and I'm constantly seeing them, and it's always from other providers. I'm like, it is time to package these questions up inside some sort of digital download, and you have got to put it behind a paywall. I promise you, just like you said, what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose but so much to gain. And most of them, they think, this is what I hear all the time, it's, well, I don't know enough yet. You have an entire medical spa. You know something, right? You're seeing clients. You've been through school yourself. You're actually getting your clients' results. That's the big one. So you know something. And all it takes is for you to be about 10% better than somebody else. And I strong heartedly feel like you can teach whatever, you can sell whatever. So I think it's great to have that confidence in that department, because I tell you, a lot of people just do not have it. And for that, they leave tons of money on the table, unfortunately.
For sure. And I would like to say too, with even if you're new, let's say you're straight out of school, and I get a lot of new estheticians. Hey, I'm straight out of school. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. I was like, start writing that stuff down, because the questions that you have directly out of school, other people have that. And so a lot of people come to me because I'm a hyperpigmentation specialist, and a lot of people
Oh,
don't know how to
okay.
do.
Thank
So
you.
so a lot of people don't know how to deal with hyperpigmentation. Well, I'm sharing this information with you, and I'm not a gatekeeper, right? So if I'm telling you something and now you know something with hyperpigmentation and you're adding it to your knowledge, now you can make your ebook off of that, because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. The stuff that I know, I learned from other people, and they learned it from other people. So this isn't like new patented knowledge that I'm putting out there. It's just based on my clientele and what I do. This is what works for me, and I learned how to streamline the process, and you'll learn how to streamline your own process. So like you said, all you really have to do is be 10% better than the next person, because it's always going to be somebody who knows more than you and somebody who knows less than you. So as you grow, keep your ebook, and which I do with my digital products, keep them in a platform like Canva or something like that. And as your knowledge grows, you may actually change something in your ebook that once worked for you and now it doesn't, and you keep growing your digital library. Like right now, yes, I have Unpond out, but I have 3 other ebooks that I'm working on right now based on demand. So figure out, and you have to listen. That's the biggest thing too. Learn to listen for the pain points. And what a pain point is a problem that a person has that you're able to solve. Figure out what that commonality is with the pain points that the people who are coming to you have, and then package that to sell to them. Because again, it's not necessarily about, it's like, well, I'm not worried about making money. It's not necessarily about making money. It's about setting boundaries and honoring your time.
I mean, you could either spend that, like you said, your time is your greatest asset. It's all of our greatest asset right now. And you could either spend that time going back and forth in the DMs, giving people free information, or you can simply just direct them to your link and let them pay for it. And one thing I like to say too, because I hear this, but what if they don't buy, or what if the other beauty providers get mad because I'm making them pay for this, right? Well, I always say, well, then that way they'll stop asking you questions all day, because you're going to send them the link. They're going to either do one of the two things: click it and buy it, or they're going to stop asking you a bunch of questions. And then, in my opinion, you have solved that problem of getting your time back, right?
Yeah. And the biggest thing about that too is, which is something I had to overcome, people please. The more successful you are, the more you have to set boundaries. Like, you can't give everybody access to you, unfortunately, because burnout is real and I've experienced it several times. So the financial part is more of a boundary to make sure that the people who are assessing your time are, they really want to be there. And you can't worry about making people mad. You can't worry about what other people may think. You have to do what works for you. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way where you don't take feedback, because if everybody's kind of telling you the same thing, like my grandma used to say, everybody ain't lying, right? So you kind of have to look at that. But at the same token, and a lot of times people aren't even mad at you. You're thinking that before you even put it out there. And I'm a big proponent in energy. Energy is energy, and overthinking is overthinking. And I heard this on TikTok. If you can overthink the worst, then you can overthink the best. So you
I
might,
love that. I
right.
love that.
So you might put that out there and it's like, well, what if this person gets mad? But what if you inspire somebody? So that same exact energy that you're putting into the negative, you have to train your mind to put it into the positive to work for you.
I feel like that really holds a lot of weight, because the advice that you just gave, it's not only business advice, but it's just life advice. Limit the access that you give to everybody in business and friendship and everything. That's just such an umbrella piece of advice. I love it. Um, so let's move along. How has being present on social media, I think this was my favorite question to ask you. How has being present on social media helped you grow your authority and visibility, not just online, but in the local area too?
I am terrible with social media. I'm gonna be calling you very, very soon. Y'all call her like immediately. That is not honestly my strong suit, but my biggest thing is I want to make sure I stay consistent. And consistent for everybody doesn't necessarily look like every day. Consistent for me is twice a week. But the people who follow me and are looking for information from me, if they don't see me any other time, they know I'm gonna post on a Monday and a Wednesday. The rest of the week, maybe not so much. But I actually just came from an event and I walked in the door and someone was like, "You look familiar. What's your name?" And I told them, and they were like, "Pinky Clips." And so sometimes when it comes to social media, it allows you to reach an audience that you, before you even step into a room. But you want to be, again, you're reaching an audience before you step into a room. So you want to be very mindful and very cognizant about what you're posting on social media, because your
Absolutely.
reputation does precede you in most cases. As far as what I would say with it, me showing up authentically, and everybody is different. And the good part about being authentic, and this is also in my book on Pawn, a lot of people when they come into this industry, what I hear a lot is the industry is saturated, and this industry is not saturated.
No.
Technically, like I'm an econ, like I went to school, I'm an econ major too, so I keep up with numbers. That's my nerd part.
Okay.
But technically, the industry right now is growing at a steady rate of 5%. Went from 7 to 5% because it's actually starting to stabilize. So 5% is great for each year. But what happens is the industry is not oversaturated, it's oversaturated with the sameness. And so when I get online, I like to stay authentic. Even though I don't do trends, I'm not opposed to those, but that's not me. Like, I know one of the trends going on right now is that whole whoop-de-doo thing. I'm not
What's
about to.
that? A whoop de doo?
So it's a young lady. It started on TikTok and it's coming over
Okay.
to Instagram. And so it started with her husband. She was like, they were in the car, and she was like, if my husband has to work every day, and if this social media content creation thing don't work out, and he has to, like, I think he had to sell his Pokemon collection for half
Mhm.
off, then whoop de doo, he's gonna sell
Oh,
that.
okay. I
And
hadn't
so,
seen that one
yeah,
yet.
and so everybody is doing that whole whoop de doo thing right now.
Okay.
So when I'm scrolling on social media, this is just my personal, I'm not gonna watch all of that,
Because you're
because
tired of seeing it. Yeah.
right, like, what are you offering? They're not coming to you for you to be in the background playing, talking about some whoop de doo, or looking for the latest dance trends. These
Hmm.
people are coming to you because they have wrinkles. They're looking for Botox. They're looking for results driven information. Yes, it's okay to have fun, but where are your results? Where is your knowledge that you
Yeah.
are an expert at what you're saying? So I'm not saying not to have fun, but that's not necessarily what your clientele is looking for. Like, what pain points are you relieving to have somebody call you instead of the other person? I actually just did on my TikTok and on my Unfine page, I just did a strategic advice thing, which I just give random advice. But what it
Mhm.
was talking about is fall is here. And what's happening is everybody who's in this industry is about to say it's chemical peel season. Okay,
Or
that's fine.
laser season.
Yes,
Yeah.
or laser season.
Yeah, yeah,
They know that. What are you offering different? How are you standing out authentically? Or how have you taken the past 3 to 6 months to position yourself on your social media for them to trust you, even with the laser, or to trust you with the chemical peel? Because just as much good as you see, there are a lot of people messing up people's faces with these
Oh
chemical peels.
yes.
Use and the lasers, using the
And the
laser that's
lasers,
too hot.
skin
Right.
pin, micro. Ooh,
Right,
yes.
because everything is not for everyone's skin. So, what kind of authority have you taken to establish that, okay, it's chemical peel season, but when they see that, what else are they looking at? Say, okay, she's done hyperpigmentation on this person. She decided to use this pill instead of this pill because of this reason. She knows what she's talking about. So, that is what gets people in my door instead of me going on and following every single trend when it comes out. Because you can have, and not talking about anyone, a little bit, but I've seen
Just a
people,
little
a
bit.
little bit, but I've seen people and local people with 25,000 followers, 27,000 followers, and they had to close their doors in the last year because the followers don't necessarily convert to revenue. The followers are there because you're entertaining.
You're
But that
entertaining.
entertainment, you ain't there to entertain people. That's not what gets you paid. So that's the biggest thing. Make sure you show up authentically, because everybody's not my client, right? And that's the thing, everybody is not going to be your client. So quit trying to appease everybody. Figure out who your main audience is and make content directed toward that particular audience.
You. And I like how you said the trends are for entertainment purposes. The educational content is the conversion content. And I will agree with you because I like that's what I see. That's the same thing that I teach and preach. A lot of my clients, we're not really doing trends, just like you said. Everybody knows it's chemical peel season. We all know it's laser season. But how about you get on the camera and you talk about that esthetician up in Ohio who burnt this girl's face with this chemical peel, and now you talk about your steps that you take to ensure that will not happen to you. Those are the types of topics that I like to talk about. So for example, with the GLP-1s right now, what we're hearing everybody talk about is that there's a lawsuit for this, there's a lawsuit for that. But then we still have medical providers who are selling the GLP-1 medications. So I would tell my client in that instance, it's time to create a video on your particular thoughts around this lawsuit. Because for one, you're gonna have clients who are gonna call, because we have clients where, like, because we track a lot of our phone calls for our clients, right? So I can hear these patients calling in and they're asking about, well, can you tell us about the lawsuit? Is it still safe for us to take it? Or I just re-upped on my dosage. Is it even safe at this point? So for one, if you do have a team, teaching them how to conduct and navigate those calls, because they are coming, but then making sure within your online presence, which you're like within your emails or within your content that you create for social, making sure you still address it because it's relevant, and it's trendy, but it's trendy in a different way. It's not the whoop-de doop-de the whoop type of trend, but it's still a relevant, timely conversation. So I always preach that. Like I say, and another reason why I do that with my clients is because I've built many platforms where all I did was trends. And that's why I started over again, because the trends, yes, they brought me some of the engagement. They brought me definitely the followers, but I was wondering why I was having a hard time converting those followers into revenue. Another problem I was facing, I was attracting the wrong types of clients. Wasn't the ones that were ready to spend a lot of money or invest in their marketing. It was usually the ones that were still trying to DIY it on their own, right? So that's kind of where my strategy and my messaging has shifted over the years. But when you just do too many trends, you're not really building authority. You're just building the entertainment spectrum, and you're fulfilling that for people, which again is fine because that does help. So maybe there should be some sort of balance in the equation, but just to get online and all you're posting is social media trends, what's going to happen is you're going to get burnt out. The math is not going to be mathing, and you're going to find yourself with, yes, a whole bunch of followers that are just there for your funny videos, but nobody is actually there to book an appointment. And this can happen so easily when you don't have a me in your life. But what about the local area though? Do you? Because I know I've seen you attend events and things like that. So how do you feel that? How do you feel? How can I ask this? When you attend events, you post on social, even though it's just 2 days a week. How do you feel that impacting your authority in the local area? Because people see it and then they see you at the events. Do you think one helps over the other, or do you think it's just a combination of both?
Great question. So I really think it's a combination of both, but I also think it depends on what demographic of people that you're trying to attract. So, for example, I have a very high end clientele. A lot of my clientele is not on social media, like they're doing other things. So, for me, I have to go to these events because my clients are really busy. And I just went to, it was maybe 2 months ago, I went to an event at a local university, and it was the economic outlook event. And make sure you're always dressed like you want to stay branded as well, because
Mm-hmm.
people look at you and as your product, like you're a walking billboard. So I used to go out looking all kind of ways, but then from social media, people recognize me, and I used to walk around like this, embarrassed, right? Because
That's
it's
not
like,
me. That is not
dang, like
me.
I'm not representing my brand well. And so you
Yeah.
need, even if you get like a capsule wardrobe and like a little bit of like a 10-minute makeup routine or whatever, stay branded, because again, you never know who knows you from social media. So you always want to make sure that you look like what you say you do. So what happened was I went to an event at a university, and like I said, a lot of my clients, word of mouth is going to get you. I love social media, and yes, it's a combination for me. But my experience based on my clientele, word of mouth gets people in the door a little bit faster, because if you're recommended by someone who already trusts you, that trust that you have to build with that person on social media is kind of decrease. They're still gonna look at your
Yeah.
stuff, but if they already trust the person who
Who
recommended
told
them,
them? Yep.
then it helps them to convert that client a little bit faster.
Hmm.
So I was at this event, and I was talking to somebody who's high profile in the area, and people are looking because I'm quiet, like not on this call, but I'm quiet for real. So I sit in the
Yeah.
back, I don't do too much, talk to this gentleman. That gentleman introduced me to the head of that particular business department, and he offered me a job on the spot. He was like, "Oh, do you want to teach?" And I'm like, "Nah." But then he was like, "Well, if you ever want to," and then he walked me to the head of the entire like division there. And so just from showing up at events, I was able to meet these people. Now, I wasn't interested in those positions, but what happened was, you'll be surprised who's watching you. So
Hmm.
when I'm at this event, there were some other young ladies watching me. And so they were like, "Who's this girl who came in a little late?" I was coming, but who came in a little late? And and she knows these particular people. And I know this gentleman from just being out. Like I, d- side note, even though we're in the beauty industry, you are a business owner. You are a CEO. You belong in these rooms. The Pooler Chamber, the Savannah Chamber. I never see beauty professionals at these events.
I know, and that's why. And I'm gonna be honest with you. That is why I do not go to a. So for the listeners that are out there watching, Tina and I live in the same city. Okay, so just so y'all know, but that is why I never honestly go to any of them, because I honestly feel like here in Savannah, none of my ideal clients are ever in these rooms. And people always say, why you don't want to go to the networking events here? Just because honestly, I never get anything out of them. And I'm just going to be honest. Because just like you said, a lot of beauty providers, a lot of doctors, a lot of dentists, they do not go to these events out here. And I think it's just the mentality because a lot of them are just so stuck in the old traditional ways of doing things, and getting out and about, going to different networking events. That is more of a like the newer style marketing, networking, if you will. And I find that there are not a lot of them there. So I just simply don't go.
Get it. But this is the thing. This is why y'all don't really see me on social media like that. Like, we finna use her. She finna help me, right? But what happens is your client, or a provider's client, that's your audience, and those are the people who have to look good all the time. So those are your people, your political speakers, your judges, the people who are doing book signings. Your
Mhm.
clients are at these networking events and you're not. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
But so what ended up happening was this group of ladies saw me, and I'm standing outside waiting on the parking lot, like the event's over. I'm standing outside waiting on traffic to die down, and I'm just standing there. And the lady said, based on who I was talking to, "You look like somebody I should know." I was like, "Me?"
Oh, I like
Like,
that.
right. I was like, "Me?" I was like, "No,
Okay.
I'm just such and such and such, But I have, get your elevator pitch too. But I'm, Sheena Holmes. I help business professionals look like what they say they do, to make sure that your brand image aligns with your values, and so that's my business pitch, right? Don't steal my pitch out. So basically what happened is, I'm humble with who I am. And so she was like, it was three of them. And so she was like, "Oh, I'm, X, Y, and Z. I work for this place." And the lady behind her was like, "You work for this place. You're the president of the company." And the lady behind her was the head loan officer. And then the other person was the head of the finance department as well. So you never know who you're going to meet at these events. And especially in these fields like medical spas and things like that, when you're wanting these higher ticket clients, these are the people who aren't going to question your prices. These are the
Correct.
people who are results driven, and are you showing the results? Is your social media showing the results that I'm looking for? What was that price? Okay. And then, side note too, when you give somebody a price, just be quiet, because you can talk yourself out of a sale. So if you
Hmm.
say something is $3,000, $4,000, don't talk after that, because if you do, subconsciously they think that you're actually trying to prove your worth or prove your
Correct.
value. When
And
you
I
just
and
say,
I had to
yeah,
learn that because
yeah,
I'm a talker, right? And I
uh-huh,
had to learn that the hard way. You say
yeah,
the price, you're firm, your
mm-hmm,
chest out.
uh,
This is it. This is the
that's
price.
it.
And guess
And
what? It has allowed me to get what I deserve. Let's just say that.
exactly.
Yes.
And a lot of times, again, we get in our own way, where we're trying to figure out, oh, that was too much. They're trying to figure out, do I want to pay this in cash or just put it on my credit card and get points? Like, so get out of your own way. And if they need financing, they'll ask for it. So this is $4,000. And you just be quiet. And then they'll say, but you don't have to, like, "Oh, we have financing. They'll ask you, do you have financing options? And then you can go into that.
So that right there is definitely something that I teach clients during the consultation because like I tell you, we listen and we track in, we chime in everything because a lot of people don't understand that what we do as far as marketing and lead generation, it is like a domino effect. So let's say we generated a lead, they want to come in and spend 6K on some sort of, I don't know, skincare bundle, laser package or whatever. But when they come into the office, we're not going to push Cheri down their throat immediately or Care Credit. I like what you said. Let them ask you because sometimes with these higher caliber or high ticket clients, when you ask them about a financing plan, that is an immediate insult. They're like, honey, I got American Express. I can pay this in full. But you're sitting there saying Cheri and Care Credit and all these other people. You just need to, like you said, say the price. It is what it is during the consultation. You let them know you're firm. You period at the end, and then let them speak. That is the most powerful thing that you could do. It that pause. We call it something. I forgot. There's a term for that pause. I learned it in sales, but I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But there is a pause that you do. Even they teach you that in public speaking. Sometimes you just need to pause. And I learned that because I'm the type of person where I will talk so fast, and it's not because I'm nervous. It's just because I may be that much into what I'm talking about, and I find myself going very fast. But then you just want to pause, take it all in, and people actually receive it better on the other end.
Exactly. And another thing about this too, which I had to learn the hard way, and you don't do it on purpose, but don't shop with your wallet, right? Because what you think is expensive, what you think is expensive may not be expensive to someone else. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Y'all don't judge me. You can judge me if you want to, but listen, my car is a little bit older, right? And my air, like, I'm being authentic, right? So the air conditioning in my car in Savannah has been broken for like the past 3 years. I will not get it fixed. But what I did do was went to Louis Vuitton and bought a person, and paid full price for it. So people have, and I said that to say, people have money for what they want to have money for. Now, should I have gotten my air fixed? Yeah, but I didn't, right? So just because the purse sound better, right? So the thing is, one thing that I used to say because I was shopping with my wallet, one thing I was saying is like keep shopping with my wallet. And so what would end up happening was I would accidentally, it wasn't on purpose. It was me being selfish and like insecure about what I was charging when I started charging higher prices. And somebody was like, "Oh, how much will that be?" And I would say, "Oh, it's kind of expensive," and I'll show it back is $5,000. And that would insult some people because they have the $5,000, right? It was like, what do I look like? Is exactly. And it's so, do I look like I can't afford this? And it's not that. It's just that, and I'm gonna be real. There are some services that I offer that I wouldn't necessarily pay that money for, but that's not a pain point for me, but it's a pain point for somebody else. So again, the air in my car isn't a pain point for me, but I needed this bag to go with my outfit because it was an investment, like I was going somewhere. So everybody's pain points are different. So your price is your price. Make sure that you're charging your worth and just put it out there. And some people are going to tell you no, and that's okay. The biggest thing, the greatest thing that you could do is learn how to take rejection well. And I actually did and it was the hardest thing I ever did. It was a 14-day challenge. I got this off of social media, and they said, I want you to challenge yourself to purposefully get 3 no's every day to get yourself used to rejection. So you might go to like Starbucks or whatever, and you'll ask them, can I get a Sprite? Starbucks doesn't have Sprite, but right. But you're setting yourself up for a no. So then you get used to when you ask a question, the no's don't hurt as bad because you've trained yourself to be able to take it. And at the end of the day, you're not gonna die. I think a lot of us think we're gonna die. A no is not gonna kill you. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. Y'all just got the last 10 minutes of the best business advice that you're ever going to get from Sheena Holmes, the beauty business strategist herself. I love that. All right. So let's get into number 3. And we probably already kind of answer this, but let's still double back. For the beauty professional or any type of treatment provider out there that is scared to sell their knowledge or even put themselves out there, what advice would you give them?
This is my new advice. We did ask this new advice. There's this gentleman, a lot of people know him. He's a financial expert, and his name is Myron Golden. And he said
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are afraid to be bad in order to get good. Anything that you've had to learn, you had to be bad at it and scared and work through those kinks in order to get good. So if you're scared, you literally, and it's cliche, but you have to do it scared. But when you do it, like my social media videos are terrible, but I go back and I watch them and I was like, okay, and you don't have to fix everything. Give yourself grace. Like that's my biggest thing too while you're growing your business. So like the very last video I just posted, my lighting was terrible. But now I know I need to look at my lighting. And there were some other things that were not the best with that video. But everything is refinement. So anybody that you see who has 30,000 followers, 40,000 followers. They started with one just like you. So there's really no difference except that they took the time to actually hone in and refine their skills. So the more open and objective you can look at yourself and refine where you're trying to go, the better you'll get. So it honestly is a part of life, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. And again, if you fail, most of the time you're not going to end up any worse off than you were. But if you succeed, the possibilities are endless.
I like to say, start messy, because that is where you find your best self. That is where you're able to learn. That is where you are able to take it all in and just say, okay, here here were my F ups. Now I'm finna take this and I'm finna to apply or implement XYZ, and I'm going to get even better. But if you are scared to fail, you'll never win, because failing is a part of the process.
Correct. And most people, again, we're harder on ourselves than other people. Anyone who is, how do I want to put this? Anyone who is further along in their career than you are, those people know that they were there at one point as well. So those people aren't judging you. They're actually cheering you on to keep going, because that used to be me. The only people who are really talking about you are the people who haven't tried to do what you're trying to do. So correct, correct. So, like, the people who take out time, and that's why, honestly, I really haven't been on social media. I haven't really put myself out there because people can be mean, right? And I'm a sensitive baby. So, but that's something I need to work on as well. But I know what I'm trying to do. I know I'm trying to help people, and that's just kind of a part that comes with it. So you have to learn to get tough skin in any industry, but especially in this industry, and also be open, because a lot of times we may put out information and somebody may be doing it a completely different way. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. There are different ways to get to the same path. So, like, if I put out, this is my protocol, I just, I'm always like, hey, this is the way that I do it. This is what works for me. But other people may do it a different way. So I'm very open, and I don't talk about other people either. Like, it's not like, oh, she did that way, and she was dumb.
I always say there are no absolutes in business. And if you ever run across anybody that is telling you that person is doing it wrong, you should be doing it like this. Run, because that is not, everybody has their own pathway to success. And what worked for Sheena Holmes, it may not work for me. And what works for me may not work for you. But guess what? Nobody's wrong. We're all doing it in our own unique way. So I think that was a perfect conversation. A little quick growth and strategy and building confidence. So I hope you guys enjoyed that from Miss Sheena Holmes.
One more point, if you don't mind. All right. So when you're growing your business, have multiple streams of income as well, right? Because a lot of times when you are in one section, like maybe it's summertime, wintertime, something like that, business does not get slow. The demand changes. And so a lot of people don't understand that. So it's like, oh, this is just my slow season. The season isn't slow. The pain points have changed. So now you have to possibly offer different services in the spring, then you do the fall, then you do the winter. So learn to watch your patterns and learn to watch your numbers in your books, because a lot of people don't know how to look at the numbers. Like when you look at these bigger corporations, and even McDonald's, sometimes the McRib is gone, sometimes the snap wrap is gone, but they're gone because they're actually looking at their numbers. So don't go based on feelings. Don't go because this person said that. Look at your books and see how your books trend and pattern. And then when you see your slumps, okay, this was a great service for me in the winter, it's going to fall off in the summer. What are my clients' pain points in the summer? Because a lot of times people forget about retail. And retail is key a lot of times, especially in the summer. People are going to be on the go. Maybe you need to be posting more on your social media about, hey, while you're traveling, these are travel size items that you can use, and maybe you won't be in your studio as much. So don't get so stuck in your ways to the point where you don't know how to pivot in your business.
Agree with the skincare products, because I do know that there are times or seasons, if you will, where retail sales are higher for some of our clients. Um, there is no black and white, right? There's no it's only in the summer the retail sales are higher, or it's only in the winter, because each client is different. We have a client in South Carolina. Okay, right now her retail sales are not doing as well. We have a client in Alabama. Well, they're booming it out the park. They always keep skincare products on stock too. So that's another thing. But I see what you're saying. You have to dive into your numbers, right? I'm a numbers person. I love data. I love reconciliation. I love making things make sense out of numbers, because especially with higher paying clients, they like to see data, and I love to produce it because the data just never lies. And I really dislike working with any type of med spa owner or aesthetic practice owner that they are so disconnected from their numbers. And I had a client, several like this is kind of when I first started. I didn't know no better, they didn't don't know any better, but they were not tracking their numbers, they were not tracking the data, nothing was tracked properly. And if it's not measured, it can't be improved. So you always have to know your numbers, what's coming in, what's going out, how can we scale, any room for improvement. Because if you don't know that, you're basically just blindly shooting, you're just blindly doing things. And at the end of the day, you can't narrow it down to what do I need to really improve in, or um what are our clients actually requesting versus what we're trying to push. Because a lot of the times it's two different things. You may think just because you're good at full facial balancing, that's what you need to be pushing and promoting right now. But when we look at the data, we look at the keywords on the back of your website that you're ranking for, we clearly see it's IV hydration. So we need to be pumping up the content. We need to be um, optimizing more blog posts with IV hydration details, sending out more email campaigns and that's why I particularly love data, because we can always pull it and we can get better results from what we're already doing. And it takes a certain type of aesthetic practice owner or just medical provider to understand my approach, because being that I have a background in the medical industry and billing at that, I'm a numbers person. So I have to, unfortunately, yes, I have to have access to your system, to your booking system, to your CRM, to your EHR, because what we do is we tie all of these things together, and you're able to see more of a result because it's all working together. The keywords that you rank for on your website, the keywords that you rank for on social, you can take that data and you can basically amplify it to get more of a result. But if you have no data, you don't know your numbers, then what are you really doing? Like, are you really growing? Are you really trying to scale? Or are you just more interested in the surface level marketing that just feeds your ego and not increases your bank account? And
Ooh, that hurt my
and I can
feelings.
tell, I
Ooh,
can
yes,
normally
ma'am.
tell immediately just by how this business owner is talking. If they get on a call with me and they're like, "Oh, I just need more followers. I'm not getting a lot of followers. I'm not getting these comments. I don't like how my social media feed looks." All that is a very small thing. That is a very small problem. Then I'm like, "Okay, well, let me look at your website. Let me look at the back end of your website," and it's completely blank. There's no SEO, there's no keywords, there's nothing. And this is a hill that I will stand on to the day that I die. I love social media. Don't get me wrong, because I built my brand and business. I'm still building it on social media. But the intent of the person on social media is different from the intent of someone who sits down and they do a Google search. Lip filler near me. That person is ready to buy. So my goal is to always make sure you're showing up in search engines, not going viral on social media. If you want to go viral on social media, I'm just not the person for you. And again, it took me some time to get there. So now I don't like a lot of my to be honest, now I don't really have this problem because I've kind of switched up my messaging, but I don't really get a lot of clients who reach out to me only for social media. I don't. 3 years ago, yes, I did. That was all I was getting. But the problem with that is, I know a provider with an actual business that's looking to put bodies in treatment rooms, they need more than social media. And so that's kind of really how over the years I've refined. I like how you use that word. That's one of my favorite words. I've refined the way that I show up because I wanted to be able to attract a more sophisticated audience, and that is exactly what I'm doing now. Another thing that I did. So I used to have this freebie, and it was just a digital download, and it was called 30 days of content ideas. And mind you, it's nothing wrong with that, but the person that downloaded that 30 days of content ideas, they are still in the DIY mode. They're still they still want to do it all themselves, right? So just recently we created a 30K day blueprint for aesthetic practice owners, right? That is a different mindset of client. The people who normally go download that, they're not looking to DIY their marketing. They're like, okay, look, I'm just ready to invest. I'm ready to throw money at who's ever going to do it for us and get us a result. So it's all in how you present everything, because it all matters. But it took me some time to get there, because I'm like, all these people that I got on my email list, why am I having such a hard time getting these people to convert? And it's the freebie that brought them in. So I don't do like content ideas, Canva ideas, how to go viral, none of that stuff. I did that already. I don't do that now because again, it attracts the wrong type of client. And I had to learn this, and my numbers, that's what taught me that.
Exactly. And to piggyback off what you just said, and is a lot of people don't understand this with social media and everything being so instantaneous, it is very slow to grow a quality clientele. So when you look at my social media, I don't have a lot of clients. And I explained this in my book as well. There's a difference between growing your business horizontally and vertically. And I decided to grow mine vertically. And what that means is some people may have one or two, products or whatever, and they don't really, they're more worried about going viral. So you're putting the same thing out and you're just going this way, but you have to keep putting that same content out and going broader, because you don't have, like you said, when you do those freebies and things, you have a lot of followers, but you don't have a lot of people who will convert. Well, even though I don't have a lot of people, I don't have a lot of followers, the person who is following me, they book me for lashes, they book me for hair restoration, they come back and book Oh yeah, yeah, I do that too. Part, yeah, that part. So yeah, so I do hair restoration. They, if they have an event coming up, they book me for makeup. Their daughter, they're with me for years. Now their child is having hormonal acne. Their child is coming to see me now. So I have this one client, when I look at my numbers, that spends thousands of dollars with me a year, as opposed to having all of these different people that I'm having to treat. And I love being able to be in the treatment room with one person for maybe 3 hours, and I've made my day and I get to go home, as opposed to having all of these smaller, these budget conscious clients, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. But having all these budget conscious clients, correct, because those are the ones who don't value your time. So if you have a lash set, or a filler or something, or injectables for $20 off, and the other person has it for $22 off, they're going to go with the $22 off, because they don't value you as a provider. They're just looking for the service. And so exactly. And so what happens is, you may have had 50 people this month come in, but those same 50 people are across the street the next month. Now you have to spend more money to get a whole new. So you're always starting over when you are building your clientele based on budget instead of quality.
And it also affects your retention rate in not a good way. So that's, I feel like that conversation requires a totally different live. So we'll have to double back on that, okay? All right. So let's get into a little fun game here to end this call. We're gonna call it a little rapid fire. Keep it or trash it, skincare edition. Okay. All right. So number one, skin cycling.
Keep it.
slugging. I don't even know what that is. What is slugging?
Okay, so slugging is when you put products on your face and then you take like Aquaphor or petroleum or something like that and you put that on top of your face like a seal, like a slug. Don't
I
do
have
that.
never. Why would somebody do that?
Okay, so the only time that would possibly be good for your skin is, let's say you may have been out in the sun and you have like a sunburn or something like that, and you're needing to put more moisture back in your skin. So you would only want to do it with very light products, like maybe like something hydrating, something that's water based, and then you could put that on there for maybe a couple of hours. But when you're putting petroleum on your face, especially if you're oily, it's gonna clog your pores up.
Yeah, and that's the
So
first thing that I think
yeah,
of when I'm
yeah.
like, I
So
have oily skin, so I'm
mhm.
like, why would I put?
So
Okay.
right, and that's the thing. Like with any trend, this is my disclaimer. With any trend, everything is not for everybody. So you don't, just because you see something, if you have, look, this is the provider side of me. If you have something wrong with your skin and you need to get it corrected, please talk to a professional skincare specialist or a medical, specialist or somebody at the spa, because just because you see it trending online does not mean it's for your skin type. So do some research before you start doing these trends. Please, because I fix a lot of TikTok skin. A lot of it.
A lot of TikTok
A
skin.
lot of TikTok skin.
The TikTok trends gonna keep you in business,
And I
right?
appreciate you. Keep doing it, TikTok.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I always say that. I always say that about the marketing companies when I get on the call with clients and they tell me some of the things that they go through with these marketing companies. I'm like, you know what? I picked the right industry. This is job security for me. I don't know what these companies out here doing, but hey, keep sending them my way. All right. Dermaplaning at home.
That is
Keep it a
garbage. Dumpster fire. Trash. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't even have the right blade. You don't have the right blade. No, don't do that.
at home microneedling devices, which I see all over TikTok right now.
Let me tell you something. That's beyond trash. That's dumpster fire as well. It is so easy to cause hyperpigmentation and damage your skin with those needles going in and out. Throw it in the trash.
Viral TikTok face mask, egg whites, cinnamon, oatmeal, etc.
Trash it. Just
Glass glass skin trend.
absolutely keep it. Absolutely.
LED light mask.
Keep it, but make sure you look at the specs on it, because you need to know like the nanometers to make sure that it works. But definitely keep.
SPF makeup versus regular SPF.
Okay. Keep it, but keep both. SPF makeup is not a substitute for regular SPF. So you want to put your SPF on first, and then you could put on your SPF makeup. And I always explain it like, let's say you tell somebody you want chocolate. There's a difference between somebody giving you a Hershey's bar and somebody giving you a chocolate chip cookie. So that's the difference between the concentration in the actual SPF versus the makeup SPF. It's almost just like a sprinkle. So that's not going to give you the protection you need. So you need both.
Okay. Um, I kind of want to ask a question to add to that. Is SPF makeup the same thing as tinted SPF, or is that something separate? Would that be something?
So it's a marketing thing. So like a foundation and a tint are made a little bit differently.
Okay.
But the SPF in it is more marketing tactics than anything, but it's not effective at like preventing like damaged skin like a true sunscreen would be. And you
Okay.
want to make sure your sunscreen is at least 30 or above.
Okay. I know this was not on the list, but do you have a
Okay.
favorite, do you have a favorite sunscreen?
I do, shameless plug.
Okay.
Sarcadia Light Day Sunscreen. No, I like it because it's good for all Fitzpatricks.
Say it again.
Which
I'm
is
sorry. What's the name of it?
Sarcadia is called Light Day Sunscreen, and I like it because it's really lightweight and it's really good for all Fitzpatricks or skin tones.
Is it
A lot
medical
of
grade?
It's professional grade, so
Okay.
anybody can get it.
Okay.
But you have to get it from a licensed professional. You can get it from me. But what happens is when you start dealing with like deeper skin tones, a lot of times the zinc in sunscreen leaves a white cast. This doesn't do that. So I love it for all skin types.
Okay. Hyaluronic acid in everything.
Keep it. But listen to me now. People don't know this. Hyaluronic acid is a humectant, which means that it pulls moisture from the air. So when you put on a hyaluronic acid, you want to put a moisturizer on over it. Because if you are in a dry environment and you put on a hyaluronic acid, the humectant doesn't care where it gets the water from. So it'll actually pull the water out your skin and it can actually dehydrate you. So be careful with that.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was actually good to know. So you are definitely
I,
for
I am
hyaluronic
definitely
acid
I
and
am
everything.
definitely for it. You just want to make sure you pair it
Okay.
with a moisturizer or you're somewhere with a lot of humidity, or it can actually dry your skin out. But yeah, it's a great moisturizer.
Okay, Sheena. Well, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
expertise. I think
Thank you
this
for
was
having me.
great. You are definitely a powerhouse. I would love
Okay,
to see more of this personality on your social media because I mean,
okay.
obviously, I've seen some of your stuff, but I feel like now I really know you now just based off this hour conversation. So yeah, you gotta be able to show more of that online because I just how I sat here and I enjoyed listening to you. I felt like I learned so much, and I'm a learner. I love listening, so I can learn. I definitely think that you have an audience out there that wants to hear that, and I know you do a lot of it in person, which is obviously great. But maybe whenever you do your speaking engagements, do you have a what is that thing called? A digi, like one of those things that you put your phone on and then it records you. Like if you walk, say if you're on, you're presenting, you're giving some sort of presentation, and you're walking from one side of the stage to the next, it follows you, and then that way you don't really have to have a videographer there, but you could just have your phone mounted up, and then it gets little clips of you just speaking and things like that. I think that's something that you should look into.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do all that stuff. So so one other thing I learned as well, and a lot of people, like when it comes to things like marketing and stuff like that, people don't want to invest. But what happens is you spend a lot more time and lose a lot more money trying to do things that you're not good at instead of
Mhm.
delegating it to other
Yep.
people. And so, like, for example, people learn that I have a housekeeper, right? And people are like, Sheena, why do you have a housekeeper? Because the amount of money that I pay her per hour to clean my house is less than what I make being at work. So some things it makes more sense to delegate to other people. So this
Mhm.
marketing, so quit looking at everything as a expense. As a business owner, you need to look at things as a return on your investment. So sometimes it pays to get a marketing person, a growth specialist to help you with your business. So yeah, we're gonna be talking real
Absolutely.
soon.
My business mentor taught me if I can't get it done in 10 minutes or less, delegate it. Because my time is valuable. And if I could invest, not spend, but if I could invest the money to allow the expert to do it and I get my time back, that is a win for me. So I love that answer. It wasn't a right or wrong answer, but I love that answer because it definitely shows where your mindset is, and I think more people should definitely think like that because they won't find themselves burnt out, spinning their wheels, doing just all the things, and then they're not getting no return on their investment. Okay, great. Well, again, tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody your socials, your websites, anything that you want to share before you go.
Okay, perfect. So, best place to find me is going to be on Instagram under Pink Eclipse, and that's PY. I gotta be different. PYNK Eclipse underscore aesthetics with the A. That links to all of my other things. So, if you're interested in getting the Unpawned book, it is in my link tree there. I also have a separate page where it just talks about business strategies. That's on Instagram as well, just called Unpawned, UNPAWNED. And my website, try to keep everything streamlined. Do that too, keep everything streamlined. It's just Pinky Clips, PYNKECLIPSE.com. And get my book because I got bills.
I love that. Like Cardi B outside standing telling everybody to buy her. She's she's like because she was on live, and I'm not really a big Cardi B fan, but I just think she's hilarious in the season of her life. but she was literally on live and somebody said, "Hey, can you give me $10?" And she was like, "Can I give you $10? How about you buy my CD? Get my CD because I got bills to pay. You give me
Exactly.
$10."
Exactly, for sure.
All
Like,
right.
for
But
sure.
anyways, thank you for
Thank you
being
so much.
here.
It was a pleasure, and I will see you soon.